2024 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Justin Rogers, defensive tackle, Auburn.
There you go. You got a big defensive tackle there in Justin Rogers, who is now a Dallas Cowboy. And Justin Rogers, of course, out of Auburn. You see, went to high school there in Detroit, right where this draft is, but big 330 pounds there from Justin Rogers.
Yeah, this is a fun one. This is probably the last one-tech option that you had, and you probably didn't want to toy around with him trying to win a bidding war for him in the undrafted free agent pool because of his size at 6'2", 322. But he started his career at Kentucky and then eventually made his way over to Auburn. Was fairly productive in the run game back in 2022 at Kentucky this last season, just trying to find his way at Auburn, and then ended up entering the draft. But he's got 6 siblings, all boys, grew up in Detroit, right where the draft is. So he's been able to stay home and see the draft there. But nevertheless, I think this is probably the biggest body other than Evan Anderson that you would find. This guy just has a little bit more knacks and a little bit more Power 5 experience. You probably bank on this a little bit more, and still a young player. He's 22 and will be 22 by the time the season starts. So this is probably just a guy you wanted to get and not risk not getting in the undrafted pool.
Well, there's some depth. I mean, to add to a one-tech now, you've got somebody else on the roster that can bring, that size, good with his hands, the striking ability there. I mean, Beamer's rolling some of that B-roll in that matchup. He's going toe-to-toe with Van Pran, who went a little bit earlier in that game against Georgia. He does do a good job making plays away from the line of scrimmage for his size. But, the lateral quickness is there for a guy that's 6'2", 320. Justin Rogers, at this point in the draft, not bad. And as we say that, I want to get your thoughts here, but Michael Pratt going to the Green Bay Packers. That's a Packer way pick right there.
Yeah, didn't you just call that?
Yeah,
didn't you just call that?
That's what they used to do. That's the Packer way. Back in 1992, you just take quarterbacks late in the draft, and hopefully you hit on one, and here they go.
Anybody else have anything to add on our newest Dallas Cowboy, Justin Rogers?
This guy makes things difficult for when you watch him play in the A gap. Those guys, the guards and the centers that try and block him. He makes it a problem for those guys. He's a hard guy to move out of the way. A little bit of probably the shorter arm type of a guy, but man, he holds up very, very well at the point of attack.
So the big conversation and talking point now will be that the Cowboys, who have now completed all of their picks in the draft, and they'll head towards undrafted free agency, which they do an excellent job at. They're one of the better teams.
It's about to go up.
Yeah. But running back. You still didn't draft a running back. You've got Blake Watson. You've got Frank Gore Jr. You've got Cody Schrader. There's some names out there that I'm sure they're going to look to bring in.
Dylan Johnson from
Washington absolutely is another one. They get a defensive tackle late in Justin Rogers, who can come in and compete to add some depth behind Mozzie Smith and Carl Davis. But now I think they'll probably be hunting some of these running backs that they like to bring in.
Yeah, Jaden Sheridan out of Monmouth. I think that's probably the one that I would like to see end up signing with the Cowboys, and I think that's probably the guy that most teams who are needing a running back right now would probably go after, and I would have to assume that's one of the first phone calls. And if you're looking from an agent perspective, from Jaden Sheridan's agent, then you would look at the Cowboys, see the running back room, see that they didn't draft anybody, and just roll with that. In 2022, Jaden Sheridan rushed for 1,722 yards. In 2023, he rushed for 1,478 yards, 23 total touchdowns in each of those 2 seasons. In each of those 2 seasons, he's averaging over 140 yards per game, nearly 8 yards per carry. This is a guy that has just been super productive. He's 5'9", 195, but he's still able to find some pass protecting skills. He's more of the big play guy. He's going to be your guy that you can rely on in the run game to pick up yards. Not huge in the receiving game, only 20 receptions last season after only 5 in the previous 2 seasons. But I think in the run game, he's a guy that can reliably pick you up some yards. He's a bowling ball between the tackles. That's the guy I'd go after.
All right.
He is repped by Drew Rosenhaus, who gets everything he can in the free agent pool.
There you go.
Dang.
Well, Dallas will pay.
Yeah.
The one thing Dallas will prove is they might not play in springtime free agency with the pros, but they will play. I mean, well, let's say with pros with the guys, but these UDFs. FAs, they will go after those guys. They don't mind. Every year it's like, well, they gave that guy $100,000. Oh, they gave this guy $200,000. They don't mess around with that.
Lipke had the most guaranteed money of all UDFAs last year, and TJ Bass was 3rd of all in the NFL. That's across the league.
I think the year before was Marquise Bell. Yeah. So I think they've kind of held that for the last couple of seasons. Yeah. Did you have a question you wanted to throw in?
Yeah, I did want to ask in regard to Nathan Thomas, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask. So, you guys looking at him as a guard? Do you think that they?
I'm just saying there's potential there. I don't think it's necessarily something you just you'd hammer on immediately. But I'd like to see him at tackle.
Well, I'm tracking that. I was wondering. I'm asking like where the other projections were for him. Were they projecting him as a guard or tackle. Just a tackle?
Yeah, I'm just saying there's probably guard flex.
Okay, because I mean, I just think there's more of at this point there's more of a need for tackle depth than guard depth as of right now to me. So that's why I was just wondering. Like I said, I wasn't familiar with the player, so I'm just trying to get a gauge on what y'all felt about him. Okay, that's all.
Yeah, these are some names that I think could also be interesting that are just still available right now. Not necessarily in the undrafted free agent pool because I still believe we have 20 picks left. Yeah. Gabriel Murphy still on the board. Fabian Lovett, I know you like him. Aisha out of Florida State defensive tackle. Dwight McGlothern, big long press corner out of Arkansas.
Yeah.
Still on the board. Cornelius Johnson, big body wide receiver out of Michigan that I had a 6th-round grade on. Curtis Jacobs out of Penn State, linebacker. Phil Darius Payne is another defensive tackle out of Virginia Tech that is still on the board. Willie Drew, corner out of Virginia State. He trained here in Dallas during the pre-draft process. Guys really liked him at the combine from what I had heard. More so trainers, not scouts that I had heard necessarily. Evan Anderson, as I mentioned, that big 350-pound frame. I mean, that's something you love to see. Eric Watts, that's a fun edge out of the University of Connecticut. And then Imani Bailey, TCU running back. He was the guy that had a pre-draft visit here.